Hi there, viewers of Equinoxe Television, 6 p.m. past the clock. It's time for the news in the English language. Thank you so much for always being faithful. Our Majesties, right away, the 4 militants of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement's political party who were arrested in Sangmelima in the South region are still in detention. The party militants are being accused of holding an unauthorized meeting to restructure the basic organs of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement in the South region of Cameroon. The party continues to condemn what they term the overzealous attitude of some local government authorities, urging them to stop intimidating and let the CRM carry out its activities normally across the national territory. And also on our back to school package, it is exactly 1 week to school resumption for the academic year 2023-2024 in Cameroon. Transportation difficulties are already very visible in some parts of the country. In the northern regions of Cameroon, passengers find it hard traveling from Gaoundéré to Garoua and to Maroua. The few transport agencies plying that stretch are now congested, causing the travelers to spend several hours at the various motor parks. Viewers, those are our major stories. Stay with us for details. Welcome back. Thank you so much for being with us on this edition of the news. We begin this edition in politics. We told you in the headlines that 4 militants of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, the CRM political party, are still in detention in the Sangmelima Central Police Station in the South region of Cameroon. They were arrested over the weekend during the party's grassroots organs reorganization. Babila Jonathan now comes back to what happened in Sangmelima that was last Saturday.
Cameroon Renaissance Movement CRM militants being forcibly taken away by forces of law and order in Sangmelima. They are resisting what they qualify as a violation of their rights.
We came to monitor the election as part of the renewal of our basic organ. The forces of law they barricade every area, and they were asking that we never asked for an authorization, whereas this is a document that was signed and discharged. And this worst of it is that it happened inside a private residence where we are talking right now. So they had to arrest 4 of our militants, including the communal secretary for Sangmelima.
To the opposition party militants, this is another illustration of democratic decline, failure, and according to some analysts, the absence of democracy in Cameroon.
The president in power has always talked about issue of democracy, but where is the democracy? Where is the democracy that people cannot have private meetings at the residence? It's not even a public manifestation that people can be talking about an authorization. We informed them as a law-abiding party, but still yet, the only thing they could do was to arrest.
The reorganization of the party's grassroots organs in Sangmelima was postponed.
And now onto this other news story. Passengers traveling from Yaoundé to Gaoundéré, Garoua, Maroua and vice versa on that highway are complaining of high prices at most bus stations and now very congested as back to school is announced for the academic year 2023-2024. Our reporter Smart Jikan Gerbel visited some bus stops in the Grand North and compiled this report for the news.
Few days to the start of the new academic year 2023-2024, bus stations in the Grand North have experienced an increase in their demand. At some of the agencies we visited, passengers barely sleep on the ground as they wait for their own turn to get into the car, while others queue to get their travel tickets. Unfortunately, traveling to any of the regions in the Grand North and down south, the transport fare has witnessed an increase, as some of the people around told us. Before, going to Maroua was 7,000 francs CFA, but now it is between 10 to 11,000 francs CFA. People who are going to Garoua are now suffering because Ngaoundéré Garoua, that used to be 4,000 francs CFA, has gone up to 10,000 francs CFA in terms of transportation. But according to an administrator at one of the bus stations we visited, they have not added a dime to the price, even as the demand has become too high. We have succeeded in putting in place a permanent unit to serve our customers. Our prices still remain intact, notwithstanding the passengers' increase. Since the population has increased, we have not recorded any incident. Many passengers now believe that the suspension of one of the main carriers in the Grand North is the reason for the congestion experienced presently, as only about 2 agencies are left to do the movement.
And now, still talking about security ahead of the new school year, the National Gendarmerie is bent on stamping out insecurity from Yaoundé and its environs, especially at the Van Motor Park before the start of the academic year 2023-2024. In Cameroon, in an operation to cleanse the city of insecurity, over 800 individuals were arrested and detained in Yaoundé. The National Gendarmerie is sending a strong message to the local population, especially delinquents. let's now have more with For Me Armstrong Sander. We come back to this report of For Me Armstrong Sander. We are talking about security measures ahead of the new school year. We will be coming back to that report that would be in this edition or in our subsequent news editions. And now we talk religion. Christians of the Ande parish of the Église Presbyterienne du Cameroon, located at Lokbaba here in Douala, precisely in the Douala 3 subdivision, are protesting against the sudden dismissal of their pastor in replacement of a new pastor who was recently appointed. The tussle led to the involvement of administrative officials who severally had held meetings to no avail. Let's have more with Lucy Liengo here.
Tension and disagreement at the Atna parish of the Église Presbyterienne du Cameroon, located in Lokbaba Douala 3 subdivision. The Christians decried the sudden dismissal of their pastor, who, according to them, brought a lot of development to their church. They decided to transfer a pastor here, who the Christians reject. About 6 parishes under the Sanaga reject him, but they are forcing him here. They even break our doors. Last Sunday, 27th of August 2023, was dedicated for the installation of the new pastor, but the angry Christians sealed part of the church, saying they do not want Reverend Bayen Alain Claude as their pastor. Several meetings have been held by administrative officials and executive members to maintain peace, but the congregation is strongly against the incoming pastor, who to them had been rejected by a number of parishes under the APC. Unfortunately, after several appeasement meetings held, which the SGO assisted, there was no positive result. Both parties I had not to crack. We equally realized that this is happening for some egoistic reasons. The allegations, according to Reverend Bayen Claude, are unfounded. I have helped to develop some churches around. Christians of the Anna parish say there will be peace if and only if the hierarchy accepts to dialogue with them so they can come to a common consensus. Meantime, the divisional officer of the Douala 3 subdivision says the church will remain closed until there is a solution.
And now, still talking about back to school, we take you to the northwest region where the people of Alum Valley in the Bafut subdivision say they want their children to go to school come September for the new academic year. They say since 2017, they feel their children have suffered enough. They were speaking to our northwest regional correspondent, Mbustela. Let's now have her report. Well, we'll be coming back to that report also in our subsequent news editions. And now we talk something else. We take you out of the country. We take you to Gabon, where the suspension of internet connection is causing a lot to the people of Gabon following the elections, which is marked by rigging. Our reporter Mala Glory takes us to Gabon to give us an update after the Gabonese election.
Gabon's government announced a nationwide curfew and cut off internet access Saturday evening as voting in major national elections was wrapping up. The Central African Nations Commission's Minister Rodrigue Bouma-Bissau announced on state television that there will be a nightly curfew from 7 p.m. to 6 a.m. He said internet access was being restricted indefinitely. This is because of calls for violence and the spreading of disinformation. The announcement came after voters cast ballots to elect new local leaders, national legislators, and Gabon's next president. Incumbent President Ali Bongo Ondimba was seeking a third 7-year term and to continue a 55-year political dynasty. Bongo came to power in 2009 after the death of his father, Omar Bongo, who ruled the country for 41 years. Bongo, 64, won his current term in office by narrow margin in 2016 amid violent protests. This year, the opposition united in favor of his main challenger, economics professor Albert Ondo Osa, 1 week before Saturday's elections. Around 847,000 people were eligible to cast ballots Saturday. Voters in Libreville, Gabon's capital, complained of polling stations opening late. Voting was scheduled to begin in the morning, but many election sites had failed to open as of 2 p.m. Osa's platform revolves around breaking Gabon out of status quo. He revealed that if he is elected, he will dissolve the National Assembly, withdraw the electoral map, and organize a new legislative election with a goal of forming a government committed to addressing economic inequality.
France's ambassador to Niger will stay in the country despite pressure to leave from leaders of a recent coup in Niger. President Emmanuel Macron was speaking during the 29th edition of the Conference of Diplomats in France. He described President Mohamed Bazoum's decision not to resign as courageous. Immaculate Fogwe completes the story for us.
French President Emmanuel Macron, speaking during the 29th edition of the Foreign Policy Speech to Ambassadors in France, insists that France would not change its position of condemning the coup and offering support to President Mohamed Bazoum, who was democratically elected.
Alors, on a dit que la France était trop engagée en soutien au président Bazoum.
Our policy is clear. We do not recognize the putschists. The putschists have proposed a new prime minister, but we see him as illegitimate. Africans have been yearning for democracy. Do you think this is the best way of getting it? Africans are two-sided. Newspaper claim France is so interested in Africa. Do you think if this happens in Romania or somewhere else in Europe, we won't react? During the foreign policy speech, President Emmanuel Macron confirmed that French envoy Sylvain Ité was still in Niger's capital Niamey despite being given a 48-hour ultimatum to leave the country. The president has not yet resigned, so he still has our support. France and its diplomats have faced particularly difficult situations in some countries in recent months. Thousands of demonstrators gathered near the French military base in Niger's capital Niamey over the weekend to support the country's new military rulers and also call for the removal of the French people. Some of them were equally seen waving the Russian flags. The National Council for the Safeguard of the Homeland, led by General Abdurrahman Tiani, have detained President Bazoum and his family at the presidential palace.
And now in sports in Bamenda, reassuring the population of the Bamenda 3 promotes development in that area is the goal of the annual Bamenda 3 Inclusive Royal Tournament that ended over the weekend at the government primary school in Nimbongfil. Alalia FC lifted the trophy after beating Legacy FC by 1-0 in the final, watched by over 5,000 spectators. The tournament was also graced by remarkable performances of visually impaired persons referred to as the goal ball, and also women football that saw basic women carrying the day. Let's now listen to Mayor Fongu Cletus Tanui, who spoke to Equinoxe Television. Let's now listen to Mayor Tangu Cletus Tanui, who spoke to Equinoxe Television after that encounter.
Tournament that we started in 2014 have so far proven that it is a great mobilizing factor, it's a unifying factor, and it's a tournament that brings peace to the municipality. Bamenda 3 is a council that promotes inclusiveness, and that is why we saw that we have all actors of the municipality present. Next year's edition, we are going to optimize the prices, we're going to make it better, and we're going to make it more inclusive. We are happy that this tournament has also kept the children busy, not to allow them to involve in unwanted activity. I think we have secured 7.5 million francs for about 300 youths to support their parents to buy books to get back to school.
We will shortly be coming back to other back-to-school reports from the Northwest Regional Headquarters of Bamenda and in its environs that would be in our subsequent news editions. Viewers, thank you so much for being with us. Don't go away. Our programs continue. The news in the French language is at 8 p.m. and Equinoxe Soir, it's at 7 p.m. Stay with us on Equinoxe Television and see you guys tomorrow.